guys, Nalabyte here, and welcome back to Westward Dystopia. Now, if you recall from the last video I did, I guess it's technically not recently, considering this video is way behind schedule. But in the last video I did, I had mentioned that I was contacted by the game's developer, Mr. Dean, and he sent me keys for the full version of Westward Dystopia and the full version of its prequel, Spires Ablaze. So we're going to be starting over with some new, we've already gone through all that, with a new character, but we're going to pick one of the newer ones. I asked you guys in the last one to let me know which group you wanted me to go with, which build, but sadly nobody answered. So I'm gonna have to go with the cheater. I was playing around with it before. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the cheater. It's a lot of fun. Plus, I get to stay alive longer, which means I can show you guys more of the game itself. Once we get through this new gameplay, we will be starting Spire Ablaze. So, without further ado, here we go. You cannot teach a man anything. You can only help him to find it within himself. Galileo Galilei. Prologue. Surgeon General Green gave up on the state of public health the day a naked traveler appeared at his doorstep, heralding the end of the world. There had been no warning, no sign on radar. Nothing became something, and the traveler was there, consuming his every waking thought. The military brass believed it had been a Covenant trick, something to throw Prometheus base off the scent of something big. Months passed and nothing ever happened. No attacks, no threats or notable intelligence leaks. All was quiet along the length of the Accord. Sorry, I was taking out my peppermint. Got a frog in my throat again. I was hoping the peppermint would help, but it wouldn't. Go figure. The wizened old man was clearly irritated. He paced the full length of his study several times in silence, his hands knotting and unknotting in unconscious spasms as he muttered under his breath. Thick lines of worry shrouded his eyes, rendering his countenance, both tired and world-weary. He had the look of a man recently told that his death would not be long in coming, but he did not despair. No, he would fight this coming doom, and if he failed in its prevention, it would not be due to his negligence or inaction. He just needed a moment to think. That was all. I don't remember this part. Did we speed through this or something? Or maybe I just played it so long ago that I don't remember it. It's a good refresher. Surgeon General Green. He still wasn't used to the title, despite operating under its authority for almost a year now. In the midst of the Great War and the chaos that followed in its devastating wake from one continent to the next, his hands had been full already. Public health was a continuous disaster, and the Union military itself was barely holding on by a thread. And now this traveler, as the brass liked to call him, arrived along the Accord, deep in Union territory with no identification, bearing portents of doom and future knowledge that had initially been dismissed as a lunatic's rambling. Two had come before this one, a female and a male. Both had been executed as spies, their detention and subsequent executions kept secret. Excuse me. It had taken the intervention of Dr. Felicia Ward under the authority of the Union President himself to stay the execution of the traveler when he suddenly materialized in the dead zone outside of Prometheus base along the Accord. Intense studies mapping out the subject's brain patterns had produced fascinating results. The physical studies, combined with the information contained in a rough leather satchel that accompanied the traveler, had convinced even Green that there was an important message being conveyed. But from whom? To what end? The traveler had been catatonic since shortly after his arrival, and the computers were having unusually difficulty mapping his memories. Perhaps a human mind could traverse the passageways of memory where the cold, calculating brain of an AI could not? Such techniques were rarely used and largely considered unethical, but the Union was running out of time. His audience required a decision. The old man sighed. He would give them what they wanted to hear. The raising the traveler's paper spoke of was born of chaos. Green finally answered the room, his eyes afire with resolve, ever searching, penetrating. Billions suffered and died for the ambition of the few. When the smoke cleared, humanity found that its numbers had dwindled into the tens of thousands. What could have prevented this ultimate tragedy? The books we found on the traveler detailed the after effects of the last great war, but not the cause. Why come all this way bearing warnings of destruction while withholding any information which we could act on? The old man slammed his fist down on his richly carved wooden desk harder than he had intended, bruising his tender flesh. We need to dig deeper to fill the memory gaps. Our need is great, and it trumps the ethical concerns. Prep the traveler for a full memory scan and reconstruction. We'll need a volunteer. The room was silent for several seconds before exploding in a flurry of motion. The game was at last afoot. Book 1. No one knows what caused the raising. We only know that several generations ago the world was lush and green, and the multitudes lived in cities spanning farther than the eye could see, caring and wanting for nothing. That civilization is forever lost to us now. Its skeletons litter the landscape like wraiths, whispering taunts of times man will never see again. I have to say this. Mr. Green is a really good writer. I love reading this. I have completed this once on my own time, and I love the writing. It's really, really well written and really understandable. And it honestly, if you sit and you listen to it or you read it, you play it, it engrosses you in the story. It really does. The world as we know it today is a blasted, deadly landscape populated by hordes of mutants, deadly nomadic tribes, and a small, dusty township, all hoping to... I don't know how to say that. Is it Ek or Eek? Might be Eek. Hoping to, I'm going to say Eek, out a basic existence in the wastes. The few densely populated cities have walled themselves off from the chaos, becoming insular and even more paranoid as decades passed. These few scattered population centers are ruled over by guild or council with an iron fist. The past century is rife with stories of war between the isolated islands of civilization. The resources necessary to maintain such modern utopias are scarce in the wasteland, and the common propaganda of modern nationalism is that you must take from your rivals in order to better your lot in life, all for the good of the city, of course. Whispers and rumors tell of those who make their living hunting artifacts of the ancient pre-raising culture. The old books have long since decayed beyond reading, but sometimes technologies may be resurrected if one knows the arcane rites necessary to set their old bones to dancing. You have made your living as an artifact hunter for a decade now, picking up the odd job here and there, working for everyone from traveling merchants to the lords of the great city of Benaron, the lord being your current and most prominent client. I'm so glad I remembered how I was pronouncing that before. I was worried I wouldn't. Knowledge of pre-raising technology is a jealously guarded secret, previously known only to the revered guild of technomancers, based in the city of Root, your birthplace. Expertise in what is English? Expertise in functional tech. Keep wanting to say technology. Functional tech is worth more than any quantity of gold to the guild. Individuals found selling or teaching such techniques are either executed or recruited, typically the former. For what mystique would there be to the wonder of technology if the masses were allowed to fathom that it functioned just as well for anyone, provided they knew how to operate it? In a world of controlled knowledge, the Technomancer's Guild is king, mage, and shaman all in one. The common folk look upon them with reverence and fear. their firearms and electricity the most terrifying of sorceries. Today, however, knowledge is spreading. As more artifacts fall into the hands of merchants and lords, the power and influence of the Technomancers Guild has begun dwindling away. Hunters such as yourself are seen in many circles as villains set to topple the world order and promote chaos. And to be fair, many hunters are exactly that. You, however, simply see it as the best way for a person of your skill set to earn an honest living. If your business helps to subvert the rule of the guild, even better. Your artifact hunting is not the entire reason you have a price on your head, but it owns a weighty share of the blame. Defecting from the Technomancers Guild several years ago put the target on your back. Antagonizing them by spreading technology among their rivals only made them want you more. But oh, the fun of watching powerful men squirm. You possess a great many secrets. Your revolvers, ancient and mysterious to a post-technology world, make you one of the most dangerous wanderers in the waste. Your other secrets, better hidden and internalized, often intimidate even yourself. Mutations, for instance. Now there is a dangerous topic. Mutations happen less frequently now than in the past decades, but they still affect a notable subsection of all living beings from humans to cattle and even plant life. Those affected are commonly cast out of their homes, fallen with the roving bands of nomadic mutant tribes, or worse, are outright killed by the rightfully fearful society. Mutations can be exceedingly dangerous. When a new strain of mutation is discovered, no effort is spared in stamping it out. For example, you suffered greatly at the hands of your masters when your mutant affinity for electrical and kinetic energy was discovered. Since your escape several years ago, I lost track where I was. You have seldom accessed the energy reserves within you, fearful that even brief contact with such alien abilities would somehow brand you as an outcast. You keep your powers hidden even from yourself. Besides, what use had you for such defenses when the most deadly weapons known to man ride with you, one on each hip? Down here. Press the button on the right to continue. Book 1. Did I already do book 1? Wasn't that what that other wasn't that what we just read called book 1? It went prologue and then like halfway down it was book 1. Anyway, book 1. Dusty red sunlight filters through the stained tattered adorning the small window above your bed, slowly bringing you back to the land of the living. Groaning, you massage your temples to stave off an early morning greeting of your well-earned hangover, nursed and cultivated while gathering intelligence in the common room downstairs. Years spent hunting both relic and rumor have made it clear to you that nothing gets a man speaking the truth quite like being plied with alcohol, the downside being that nobody trusts a man asking questions who isn't drinking himself. Very true. Very true. On both aspects. A drunk person, from what in my experience, a drunk person always tells the truth. If they say it when they're drunk, that's what their sober selves can't bring themselves to say. You grin to yourself, followed by a reactionary wince as the muscles under your right eyes twitch. It would appear you fell asleep again fully dressed. Your head pounds and you cease your ministrations in favor of a full-bodied stretch in a vain attempt to restore yourself to some semblance of normality. Righting yourself in bed, you are just about to stand when you hear shouts of alarm from below. This wouldn't be the first time a fight had broken out in the common room of the seedy inn you currently call home. But there is something different about this commotion, telling you that perhaps you should prepare yourself for the worst. Last night you heard rumor of raiders pillaging neighboring towns, although the quality of the local rumor mill is still a suspect, as the watered-down ale they serve in the sorry excuse for a bar downstairs. The shouting from below reaches a panicked pitch, followed by a sharp crack. Few people in this age would recognize the sound of gunfire. To you, however, the unexpected report raises hairs on the back of your neck at the last vestiges of lethargy drain from you, and you bolt upright, your hangover a distant memory hidden in a sudden fog of adrenaline. Pulling the bottom drawer of your dresser out from its frame, you reveal a hidden weapon cache. 2 revolvers and a bandolier of ammo carefully secreted within. Strapping the priceless artifact to your belt, hidden behind the folds of your beat-up brown leather duster, you inspect the mess that your living quarters has become in the time that you have spent here in Randall. Too long. You stayed here too long. It would take time to gather your proper supplies for your run, time you have precious little of as the sounds of combat reach ever closer to your room. You have time to grab maybe one more item. Note, you can bookmark, save your page, or visit your character sheet at any time from the in-game menu by tapping on the page text. Exiting the app saves your progress and items automatically. We're going to save. The differences between the free version and this version, in this version, if I recall correctly, you get, I want to say it's 10 bookmarks. I want to say you get 10 bookmarks in this one. In the free version, I think it's only like 3, 4, something like that. It's really low, and these bookmarks, if you're going to play this game, use your bookmarks sparingly. There is no way to replace a bookmark, and there is no way to delete a bookmark. Once you have your bookmark, it is there for life. I specifically asked Mr. Dean about this because I was confused on that. He did explain, however, that the reason he does this is to discourage... what was it he said? Let me find his email real quick. Okay, what I'm about to read is a section of the email sent between Mr. Dean and myself when I was asking him about the bookmark system. He said, and I quote, "The bookmark system is the same in the full version as it is in the free version, only you get 10 saves instead of 2 per game." So I was wrong, it was 2 per game, which I'm assuming means if you start a new game, you would get your bookmarks back. The bookmarks are limited this way to encourage judicious usage of saves and make battle meaningful. If you could save before every battle, there would be no challenge. And honestly, that is a very, very good point. If you could save just whenever you wanted to, you could, I mean, from a playthrough standpoint, it would be okay, because I would be able to get to show you guys a lot more. But as a single player, playthrough, like if I'm playing this on my own, I do like that there is only a certain amount of bookmarks you can get. It does make the choices you make more meaningful, because as Mr. Dean has also stated in the email, there are tons of different routes. I believe the military base itself has several different routes you can go through. So in a way, it does, it does make sense, and it does make for better gameplay. Do we want a medical kit or a hunting knife? A hunting knife comes in handy later, but a medical kit is a medical kit. But we can buy those later once we get to the market. Okay, we'll go hunting knife this time. I think I chose the med kit the first time. Your trusty blade has been with you through the best and the worst of times. Unfortunately, in this particular worst of times, its presence seems intent upon eluding you. You have almost given up the hunt when you spot a familiar outline in the midst of a pile of unwashed linens heaped on your floor. Breathing a sigh of relief, you produce your companion blade from the heap and strap it to your belt. There is no time to search for more gear. The attackers are almost at your door. Hide behind the door and surprise the enemy. Burst out of the door and attack first. Pry the window open and escape without confrontation. Sorry about that. I forgot to mute myself, and that was a friend of mine from Goddess Primal Chaos, which, yes, I am back to playing Goddess Primal Chaos. My friends, Waddles and Lizzie, finally convinced, well, it was either Lizzie, no, I think it was Clem, actually. I want to say it was Waddles and Copter. Clem is Copter. I want to say it was Waddles and Copter that convinced me to go back. Yeah, because I hadn't talked to Lizzie much since I had... Please ignore me, I'm rambling. Yes, the point is I'm back on GPC. I don't know when I'll start making tutorial videos again. I will eventually start making them again. I'm just not sure when. I kind of want to get my power up a little bit. I just hit a little over 400k a few days ago. I think I'm like 415 now. So I am very behind. So I want to wait until I can catch up a little bit before I start doing the videos again. But rest assured they will eventually start up again. I think we're going to burst out of the door and attack first this time. I don't think I've done that yet. I like this art. It's charming. It really is. It's cute and charming. Placing your boot firmly against the cheap wooden portal and readying your weapon, you thrust the door open and launch yourself into the hallway beyond. Your timing is fortuitous. The edge of the door cracks one of your assailants in the jaw, sending him flying to land in a heap further down the hallway. You charge towards the common room, rounding a corner to find yourself facing 3 large, well-armed men stalking down the hallway towards the noise you just created. 2 of the men carry unsheathed longswords, both spattered and dripping with crimson gore. I also do like how he uses gore instead of blood. I love when people use uncommon words instead of just the traditional words. The final man bringing up the rear holds himself with the bearing of a leader. Your body goes cold when you notice an ebony handgun held at the ready in his left hand. The leader blows out his mustaches. Mustaches. Apparently he has 2. Does he have 2? No, he has 1. Okay. Found an error. And sniffs dismissively at you, obviously taking you for a local with your slept-in clothes and unkempt, sleep-addled appearance. He gives an offhand nod to his lackeys to take you, before kicking in the door next to him and disappearing within, continuing a search. You smile to yourself. You always knew passing out in your clothes and sleeping in till noon would pay off sooner or later. Time to get to work on this lot. Fight! Oh, I love the battle system on this. It has such a quaint charm to it, and it reminds me so much of D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. It really does. Just the dice rolls, and having to have gear for defending, for attacking. It's so charming. I love it. Enemy defeated. Battle was concluded. The second black-clad mercenary falls to you in battle and gasps out his last, the look in his eyes passing from horror and disbelief to the glaze of the dead. Noting that the sound of battle has ceased, the leader returns to the hallway, no doubt fully expecting to order his men further down the hallway, but instead facing you, recovering from the battle over the bodies of his fallen comrades. His eyes fall to your belt and widen as they notice your revolvers. "You!" he exclaims, more of an exhalation of awe and surprise than a declaration. His gun hand twitches and reaches for his holster. "You must come with me, now! There's no time to explain," he snaps, clearly nervous and looking around for more backup. You have no intentions of going anywhere with this mercenary, gun or no gun. Any merc that shoots his way through a tavern in search of a single man isn't worth trusting. Anger boils up inside you. These people were innocents, and this murderous scum killed them to get to you. There is no time for talk, only action. Fight. And it's the cheater path. I love this build. It gets through the stuff really quickly and allows me to actually show you guys more of the gameplay. The battle is concluded. If you win, click that one. Achievement First Blood. Okay, I can't click achievements apparently. Okay, Time on the road has not dulled your senses to the point where gunfights against a clearly inferior hand would mark the end of you. Summoning up reflex and muscle memory ingrained in you from countless hours spent training, your hand becomes a blur, clearing leather and losing a shot before the lanky man can so much as draw his weapon from his holster. A splash of crimson marks the disintegration of a chunk of the man's face as he goes down in a heap. Perhaps your training is not as up to snuff as you originally speculated. You sought to wound the man, not outright kill him. Being able to question him would have been invaluable to your effort to determine why these men came for you and who hired them. You quickly examine the area, coming to the conclusion that no other threats are present, before returning to the body and performing a thorough search. In the left pocket of the leader's overcoat, you discover a crumpled note written in a firmly scholarly hand. C. Your target has been found hiding in Randall. The town is a front for the Alliance. Take the target into protective custody and leave none of the Alliance alive. Be steady in your convictions. Recruit strong arms from outlying towns to complete the sweep. Return the target to us immediately upon acquisition. BC. A shiver runs down your spine as you pocket the note. The town is a front? What Alliance? Oh, pardon me. It's 2:30 in the morning. I'm getting tired. What Alliance? In all the time you've spent here, you've never encountered anything outside of the ordinary for a small wasteland town. A quick search of the other mercenaries' bodies reveals little else in way of intelligence. You make your way down the stairs to the first floor and are disappointed, but unsurprised to see that a bloodbath awaits you. Randall was a peasant town with little in the way of fighting men or means to defend themselves. They didn't stand a chance against trained mercs and guns. Averting your eyes from the faces of men and women you had come to know over the last several days, you work your way around the front door in hopes of reaching your horse and escaping any further violence. As you reach for the door, you consider checking behind the bar for supplies and gold. While rather ghoulish, it is true that they will no longer be requiring the money. In this life, at least. Search the common room for currency and supplies, or don't waste any time, escape while you can. We're going to search, of course. We got 8 gold. Not too bad. While your remaining sense of property keeps you from looting the bodies of your recently deceased friends and acquaintances, the bar may contain currency and foodstuffs that hold no further use to those who have passed on. As quickly as you can, you rifle through the assorted goods and drawers. My Texan accent was trying to come out there. Behind the bar. Not wanting to take too long in case more mercenaries make an untimely entrance, you pocket a few days' worth of meats and cheese, as well as 8 gold coins from the cash drawer. You figure it unlikely that the bar had much more cash on hand, considering the poor overall economic state of the town. You don't waste further time hunting down additional stray coins. Muttering a word of apology to the dead as you work your way around the bodies towards the exit. Oh, goodness. Oh, I'm so sorry. Definitely won't be needing my sleeping pill tonight. You force yourself to avert your eyes from the bloodbath. Dwelling on the misfortune of the recently dead will help neither them nor you. This is a world of the living, and if you still wish to count yourself amongst them, you'll need to leave your mourning behind and escape while you still have the chance. Continue on next page. But I don't think we're going to. No, I don't want to give any of you any clues about what's coming up next. So we're going to leave it on this page for right now. So yeah, like I said before, we will be doing a full playthrough of this, and then we'll be moving on to the prequel, which is book 2, but it's, from my understanding, it's actually a prequel to this one. I guess it has to do about the raising or something. I'm not entirely sure. I didn't want to read too much on it. I wanted to be surprised. But yeah, guys, that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you like this down in the comments below. Let me know how I did. And definitely check it out for yourselves. It's really fun. Really fun. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you liked this video, mash that like button like it's on a controller, and feel free to comment and subscribe for more content in the future. And as always, I'm Nalabyte, and I will see you all in the next one. Later, guys.